Welcome to Quickshots.
Oh, hey, welcome to Quickshots, where we answer your questions in a hurry.
Hey, you got somewhere to be, mate.
Yeah. We've all got somewhere to be in Car's life. Hey, this one I'm going to throw to you because you do have a lovely wife on maternity leave at the moment. So hopefully you two have had discussions in your household, which no doubt you would, that would help us answer this question for Jess. Jess says, I'm about to go on maternity leave and my mortgage repayments have gone up significantly in the last 9 months. Is there anything I can do with my bank to reduce my payments?
Good question, Jess, and obviously you're not alone in that situation. Everyone's interest rates have gone up pretty quickly. Number one thing to try and do is get ahead of it. So try and approach your bank before you go on maternity leave, whilst you can show them pay slips with an income coming in. If you don't have that luxury, what I would say is reach out to the bank and just explain the situation. I've seen a lot of people who've been able to get, say, a principal and interest loan negotiated to interest only for the 9 to 12 months that you might be down to one income in the household or something like that. Generally, banks are pretty accommodating for all that sort of thing. They understand, that you're borrowing for a 30-year period and that, it's going to be a short-term thing. So, yeah, certainly you could try and go from principal and interest to interest only if you haven't already gotten ahead of it and tried to get some interest only or get an interest rate discount prior to going on maternity leave. Sean, how do we break into an unaffordable market? We are looking to buy at the moment but can only borrow up to $400,000, whereas most properties seem to be going for more than $600,000.
Well, Sean, I think it ultimately depends what you want to achieve here. Do you want to own your own home for the security of it, or are you buying just because you're being told you should buy? I'd like to know why, essentially, because there's a few different things you can do. Number one, this is a bracket where you can tap into quite a few different first home buyer grants. So you might be able to actually borrow up to 30 or 40% from the government, especially at that threshold. So I would look into that. And you can sometimes buy with only 5% deposit. Depending on which scheme you get and whatnot, you might actually be able to break into the market. But I think the other thing too is you've got to buy what you can afford. If you cannot afford to get into the areas that you want to be at $600,000, I'm sorry to say, my friend, like you can't be in there. There's no point talking about complaining and why the market's unaffordable. Is you've got to find out what you can afford and where you can afford. And you've either got to make that sacrifice for a small period of time to be a little bit further away, or you've got to look at buying an investment property instead, which is basically a completely different option. It's probably going to be in a state that you don't live in, but it will be something that you can buy, get your foot into the market, and also have a rental income on that essentially pays for the loan itself. So my real question stems back to what's your ultimate motivation? Because that will give you the answer. Do you want a house for security? Well, you got to go a bit further out. Or if you just want to get a foothold in the market, then an investment might be the way to go. Even saying that, I do know the rental market's tough today. So, yeah, there's a few different things sort of going on there. Whew, all right. Breath. Wilson is asking, I live on my own and I'm looking to buy. Should I buy a bigger house within my budget or a smaller and cheaper house that suits my needs right now? Very mature question.
Yeah, hard to answer too without a bit more context. What I would say is the cost of getting in and out of property are quite high. And I see a lot of people say, well, I'm going to buy something right now that will do me for now, and then in 3 or 4 years I'll buy an upgrade and whatnot. But number one, often 3 or 4 years goes very quickly. So time creeps up on you, and the costs of getting in and out, you're losing stamp duty and agent fees and all that on the way out. So, you sort of, in my view, if you're going to be potentially growing into the home in the next 5 years, I think just just do it now. If you've got the ability to afford that type of home and prices are probably only going to go up in the next 5 years. And then that way you don't have the dead costs of getting into the first property and then having to sell it and then pay stamp duty on the second property to get in again. Having said that though, if you can't really see yourself growing into the bigger home that is at the max of your borrowing ability and purchase power right now, then don't buy more than you need if it's not a sort of shorter term reality that you're going to need that. I think it's really sensible to have a low mortgage on your own home, for as long as you're able to, on the proviso that obviously that situation isn't going to change in the short term.
Wilson, the sensible cousin, got the answer on that question. I think that's the way you want to go, the sensible route.
Yeah, if you want to give me some more context, Wilson, just emails are in the notes as well. Happy to give you a more comprehensive answer if you're chasing that.
Jess, Sean, Wilson, belter questions. Thanks for sending those through. And if you're listening, you can send yours through to Alex F or James F at jlf.com.au. Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Double Shot with your favourite cousins, Alex and James Fitzgerald. If you've got a burning question or something we absolutely need to talk about on the pod, please write to us. Both of our emails are in the show notes. For little real estate tidbits and a little bit of banter, okay, a lot of banter, you can follow us on the gram. Our handle is thedoubleshot.podcast. That, my friends, is thedoubleshot.podcast. Until next time, think of us when you sit back and sip your next double shot.